Hello, I'm Rosalind, Project Lead for prisonhistory.org. Today I'm in the beautiful Bradford-on-Avon, and joining me is local historian Ivor Slocum. Hello Ivor.
Hello, welcome. You're very welcome indeed.
Behind us is a rather stunning medieval bridge. Can you tell us why you've brought us here today?
Well, two things. First the bridge and then the lockup which is associated with it. But the bridge is medieval. Originally this stone bridge was built in, we think, the late 13th century. There was a previous, perhaps a wooden bridge here, certainly by 1200. And when the bridge was built, then they obviously built a chapel associated with it. And we can still see the foundations of that chapel now in the late 13th century, particularly the forbling which you can see at the base.
Fantastic. So the chapel became a lockup in the 18th century.
The chapel remained there. Certainly, when Aubrey was coming here, he mentioned it. Certainly the references in the 16th century, it's still being a chapel. But we think it was converted into a multi-purpose building in the early 18th century. We haven't got an exact date. We think it's early 18th century. Then it was a single room. It had a fireplace. It had a drain with a chute in one corner. And obviously they had reused a lot of the medieval material. So you've got medieval windows on the north and south side, which are the original windows, we think, from the 13th century chapel.
Great, okay. Now I heard a rumour. I heard that the famous Methodist preacher John Wesley was imprisoned in this lockup.
Well, not quite. Certainly there was a Methodist preacher who was locked up overnight here, but it wasn't Wesley, it was one of his followers.
So we've got the key to the lockup today. Fantastic. So if we go inside, will we see an 18th century lockup?
Bits of it, but not quite.
Right.
Because it was used, as I say, for multi-purpose, including a lockup. You get to the beginning of the 19th century, 1820s, 1830, Bradford was a fairly riotous town at that time because of industrial unrest in the woolen trade, particularly, with unemployment. And I think for that reason they wanted to make the lockup more secure. And so they converted the inside by making two cells with iron doors and bedsteads and so on, possibly 1830, 1840. So what you will mainly see is an early 19th century lockup.
Fantastic.
With an earlier 18th century bit and on top of a 13th century chapel.
Wow.
The other thing which people always mention is the fish at the top.
Ah, yes.
Which is called a gudgeon.
Yep.
It's a fish which apparently was here in the river. I've never seen one, but it is. There's a saying, I don't know where it started or not in Bradford, about being under the fish and over the water, which means you're in prison.
Fantastic. Let's go check it out. The interior of the Bradford-on-Avon lockup did not disappoint. The door, positioned at more than half a metre from the level of the pavement, opens into a tight lobby from which two cells can be accessed. These cells are perhaps the best preserved in the entire country. Both have their original iron doors and remain furnished with the original iron beds and toilets. The toilets are connected to a waste pipe, which empties straight into the river below. The only modification in each cell is the restoration of the windows of the medieval chapel. These were blocked up when the two cells were created in the 1830s or thereabouts because they presented an escape risk. Instead, for ventilation, two openings, one for each cell, were created high up below the roofline on the wall facing the river. The effect would have been to plunge prisoners into near darkness. Bradford-on-Avon lockup is open for public view on special heritage days. For more information on exploring this and other historic prisons, visit prisonhistory.org.